Hi, my name is James Jones. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, originally. I currently work for Missourians Organizing for Reform and Empowerment. That's the long form. Most people just call us MORE. Really long organization, really long history in the community in St. Louis. We came from the ashes of Acorn, as did a lot of organizations that we work with around the country. Right now, I'm heading off our Decarcerate STL campaign, which is a campaign that organizes formerly incarcerated persons and their families and supporters of the movement around issues of mass incarceration, the corporations that benefit and profit from prisons in the St. Louis area and surrounding areas. And we also advocate to consolidate municipal courts. And we're looking into shutting down. we're looking into shutting down the workhouse, or the more formal name, the St. Louis Medium Security Facility, known as the Hall Street Jail. How I got into this work is a pretty tumultuous path that brought me kind of where I am today. I've been in a lot of places doing this type of work, and I guess I'm full circle. I just moved back home in September of this past year. I grew up in a household with a father who was born in 1932 in Tupelo, Mississippi. Well, a small town called Guntown, which is right outside of Tupelo, Mississippi. You can only imagine what growing up in the 30s in Mississippi was like for him. As an African American male, pretty large stature, and my mom, much younger, 23 years younger, in fact, was born in 1955 in St. Louis. So it was kind of this country boy, big city girl to him in a certain kind of way. But their ideals kind of merged around this central belief in the beauty of blackness. So my mother was a Black Panther in St. Louis. She was very active in the 70s. And she was also active in the women's rights movement. Not so much, she shuns away from the term women's liberation. She feels like that was a movement that was racially exclusive and didn't really include a lot of black and brown women. But she was the activist. My father was definitely not a pacifist, but he was a person who was led by the belief that you should just work hard and work your way around the problems. So I grew up in a household. I did my first voter registration drive when I was 9. Needless to say, I couldn't vote, but it was always my mom's activism. So I grew up working with her in the community. When I went to college the first time, well, let's backtrack a little bit. She told me all my life that the system was set up and designed to trap black boys, particularly as the suspected head of the household, trap us up in a system that would keep us from being able to vote, keep us from being able to, own property. And that, in a sense, kind of guided my perception of life, going through life. And by the time I was 16, I actually did get caught up with my first felony. I got 2 by the time I was 16, and I've been kind of fighting those down ever since. I got a suspended imposition of sentence. It was a nonviolent crime, which allowed me to still apply for financial aid, but it wasn't a drug crime, though. So I still applied, and I went to college, got a graduate degree. While in college, I got bit by the activism bug. I went to school in Mississippi, went back to my dad's home, organized about 5,000 students around the Ayers versus Fordyce case. We won a landmark settlement for Jackson State, Alcorn Valley, and the other historically black colleges in Mississippi. And it kind of sparked my interest in movement type work, and I've been doing this work ever since, And now I'm leading off our campaign in St. Louis. I've worked in Dallas, Atlanta, D.C. Now I'm back in St. Louis, and I'm heading off mass incarceration work. And I think it's really important for me because as a person who was impacted by the system at an early age and had to fight my way through just to even achieve the most menial success, I think that it's important for people to know that, one, the system is designed to keep you from achieving, but 2, you can achieve, and it takes a community of people to support you in doing that. And I think that the work that we're doing now, empowering people to know that they have the power to do those things, is really central to my core belief system.